Hi everyone, it's Lori. Thanks for joining me for another Cricut tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to make this fun trifold birthday card. You could use this base card for any occasion. And I'm going to show you how to make the base card and save it and then to deck it out into this happy birthday style. So let's get started. Let's hit Create New Project. We're going to go to Insert Images. We're going to go to Cartridges. We're going to type in Craft Room, 2 words. And we want this Cricut Craft Room Basics. This is a free cartridge for everyone. Even if you are not subscribed, you have access to all of these images free of charge. We're going to choose this square. We're going to choose this label. And the next thing we need to do is go back to all images, type in scoreline. Going to choose the first scoreline right there and insert images. All right, let's put our shapes over here. We're going to start with the rectangle. We're going to go Edit. We're going to change it to 5 inches. We are keeping the lock locked, which will keep it in proportion and give us a 5 by 5 perfect square. Next, we want to go to the Layers panel, and I'm going to pull this Layers panel down. I like to see the Layers panel and the Edit panel. So as we look over in the Layers panel, we can see that this has a shadow layer. I've just turned that on. We're going to get rid of that shadow layer. We don't need it, and I don't like to have extra layers there that we don't need. So in order to do that, the first thing we need to do is select it and then ungroup, then select that shadow layer and let's delete it. Okay, now let's click back on this square and let's duplicate it. Let's duplicate it twice. And we will set the duplicates over here. Alright, so now we have a 5 by 5 square. This is going to be the center piece of our card. The next thing we need to do is select another rectangle, go to the Edit panel, unlock Keep Proportions, and we're going to make this 2.5 inches wide by 5 inches tall. Okay, now we're going to need 2 of those, so let's duplicate that. Alright, we're going to line this up over here. This over here, get this out of our way. We want to make sure these are all perfectly aligned. So I'm going to click on the first rectangle and I'm going to look over here in the Edit panel and I see the y-axis is at 3.7. So let's click on this square and let's change the y-axis to 3.7. Now those two are perfectly aligned. Let's do the same with the last rectangle. And let's change that to 3.7. While this rectangle is still selected, I am going to duplicate it one more time. And we're going to use these, so let's just put that one aside. Okay, the next thing I want to do is grab this label. And I'm going to use this arrow icon in the middle, or in the upper corner, and that allows us to rotate. If you hold your Shift key when you rotate, it kind of locks it in 45-degree increments. So we're going to rotate that 90 degrees. We're going to turn it all the way around. While it's still selected, I'm going to hit Arrange, move to Front, and I'm going to stretch this out using the arrows in the upper right corner now. And I want the tip to be about right at the edge of the card on the bottom. And I want the top to just meet right in about right there. In order to disproportionately maneuver this, we have to unlock this Keep Proportions right here. And now what that allows us to do is pull out of proportion. So I'm going to make this wider. A little bit wider and a little bit taller. If we look in the Edit panel, the size of my label is now, well actually I want it just a little bit taller. Okay, the size of my label is 5.16 by 4.68. Now I need to have some room, so I'm going to select everything and I'm going to move it down. Select off of it, select the label, and just using the up arrow, actually I want to make sure that's centered, I'm going to push it up. And I want to get it till, move it up until this part is just overlapping a little bit. So about like that. Now holding the control key if you're on a PC or the command key if you're on a Mac, going to select the label and the square, and we're going to go over to the layers panel and hit weld. Now those are connected. What I want to do now is change this main centerpiece to a different color just to make the next step a little bit easier. Let's make it blue. Okay, next we're going to click on the rectangle, and again, just until we don't see any white in between them, we're using our arrow key and nudging those together. Now we don't want to weld that yet. We're going to go over here to this one and nudge it to the right using the arrow key until you don't see any white between them. Okay, the reason I didn't want to weld that yet is because we need our score lines. We need to know where our score lines go, and they go right in that position. So we're going to grab our score line. I'm going to go over to the edit panel, and I'm going to change that to 5 inches. And then I'm going to duplicate because we need 2 of them. Duplicate is right here in the lower right of the layers panel. And we know this score line. We can grab it. That's the hardest part, is grabbing the score line. Goes right here where these 2 meet. And this one goes on this side where these 2 meet. Okay, now while those are right there, we're not going to select them, but we want to select the brown rectangle, holding our command or control key, depending if you're on a Mac or a PC. Select the blue layer and select this brown layer so that we have the rectangle and the piece that we welded together all selected. We look over here in the layers panel and we can see we have all 3 selected. And now we're going to weld. Now you don't want to move anything, but we're going to click on this, arrange, move to back. And now our score lines are on the top, but they are not attached yet. We need to make sure that Design Space knows we want those to score right there where we have them. So we're going to select everything, right click, and attach. And now our score lines should be intact. So let's change this back to blue. It's easier to see. You can see our score lines are right where they need to be. Okay, so the next thing that we have is this panel. And I want to make a piece that we can put right here on the front and the back of the card. So we know this was 2.5 by 5. I want to make it just about 1/4 of an inch smaller. So I am going to change this 2.5 to 2.25 on the width. And it's going to give me 4.5 on the height. And if we select it and hit arrange, move to back. Oops, I'm sorry. Arrange, move to front. That's going to fit right there. And actually, I don't want it 4.5. I want it, it was 5 inches, so I want 4.75. So it's 2.25 by 4.75. And that will give me a nice little 1/4 inch border around there. And actually, it looks to be a little bit off, so I'm going to just manually pull it down a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Now I want this side to be exactly the same, so we're going to duplicate. And then we'll have one for here. And when this card folds, we're also going to put those on the front flaps. So I need 2 more of those. Duplicate, duplicate. So those are going to be cut out of pattern paper for me. You can cut them out of whatever you want. This, if you remember, our main base started at 5.5. So I want to make this 4.5 by 4.5. And while I'm at it, I am going to select it in the layers panel and change it to white. We're going to hit arrange, move to front, and that's going to set right here. And actually I want it to be the same height as the panels on the side. So let's select this. Let's select the panel. And look, the height is 4.8. That seemed to work out better once we welded everything. So let's leave this at 4.5. Well, let's just change it to 4.8 square. 4.8. Okay. So that's going to be our center panel. At this point, you can save this project. This is a great base card. So I'm going to save it. And I'm going to call it label. Or actually, I'm going to call it a Trifold label card. Save. And you can keep this and do whatever you want with it. What I'm going to do to finish out this video is I'm going to make this a birthday card. So let's go into Insert Images. And this is just an added touch. I'm going to go to Categories. Okay, I'm going down to Brand, and I'm going to go to Tomcat Studio. And I'm going to grab this Happy Birthday. Insert. This is not part of the subscription. So if you're using this and you have the subscription, it is 99-cent charge. Okay, and I also want I'm just kind of winging this as we go. I want a heart. Any old heart will do. There is one in the Cricut Craft Room Basics that would be fine to use. I'm just going to grab this one, insert, and I want my heart to be red. Let me change that to a red color. That looks perfect. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to put that right there. And now I'm going to select the sentiment, the heart, and the background. And I am going to flatten. I'm going to print this just like that. I'm going to go back and grab that label. I'm going to go to Cricut Craft Room and the cartridges. And I'm going to grab that same label, and then I'm going to go back to all images and search cupcake. And I'm going to grab this cupcake right here. It is from Better Together. It's called Pink Cherry Cupcake. It's item number M as in Mary, AA, 2, B as in boy, C as in cat. And insert image. Okay, so now here's our cupcake, and I'm going to leave that as a print and cut. I'm going to take this label, and I'm going to again hold my shift key and rotate it. I'm going to unlock Keep Proportions. I'm going to move it over here on this one, and I'm going to try to make it like a shadow. or an inset. I guess it would be more of an inset than a shadow. That looks pretty good to me. And I'm going to make that white. I'm going to duplicate that. This one is going to go on the front when this flap folds down. This cupcake is going to go on the front. Arrange, move to front. And I'll probably pop that up with a pop dot or something like that. And here I can put a message if I want to. Okay, so all that is left to do is hit go. Okay, you'll see we have a print and cut. This is our card base inside sentiment. This is the cupcake that's going to cut out for the front of the card. We have our base card base. Our score lines are in place as we want them. We have our pattern papers that are going to fit on the inside and outside flaps. And we have our labels that will fit on the inside and outside of that. And that's it. It's pretty simple. Don't forget to save the card base as a go-to. You can use it for a lot more things than just this version of the card. One other thing I wanted to show you is you do see I have a 99-cent purchase, and that's for that happy birthday that was not included in the subscription. But if you ever have a charge down there and you can't figure out what it is you might be getting charged for, just go ahead and hit purchase. You're not going to be charged for this until you put in your password. So if you hit purchase, it will take you to the next screen, and you can see I'm being charged for the Happy Birthday by Tomcat Studio. It's 99 cents. And until I put my password in down here and hit authorize, I'm not going to get charged for it. But at least that way I can go back and say, oh, I don't want to be charged for that. I'm going to just manually write in happy birthday, which is, you know, totally doable. But if you're ever in question as to what it is that you're being charged for, that's what it is. If you do want to buy it, you just put your Cricut password in and hit authorize.